Hi everybody, this is Saad. I thought I would try something different today. One of the things that stresses me the most when I walk into my study every day to work is I've got a very, very extensive personal library. Hundreds and hundreds of books, many of which I've read, of course, but many which I've yet to read. And the mere thought that there are all of this knowledge out there that I don't yet have in this brain stresses the hell out of me. Uh, and so I started looking around. I said, how many books do I have, biographies on great scientists, philosophers, thinkers over the history of humanity that either I've read or many of which I've yet to read. And so I just went through a couple of the shelves of my personal library. So this is not an exhaustive list, and just wanted to show you some of the incredible books. I hope it's not too tedious, but I'll try to speak about each. So here I've got tons of books. I've maybe 50, but I probably have tons more. As I said, I didn't go through the exhaustive list just of biographies of great. So here is Why Freud Was Wrong. Here I got a great story about this, which I talk about actually in my next book. One day I had just finished teaching an MBA course at University of California, Irvine, when I was a visiting professor there. And many of the students were in the health management MBA. A lot of them were physicians. And so a female student comes up to me at the end of the course and says, "I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Saad." And I said, "For what?" She goes, "For the way that you went after Freud, and I think to a smaller extent I went after Jung as well. I was talking about psychoanalysis and some of the projection techniques that have been developed in psychoanalysis, and then how it has been subsequently used by marketing researchers. And I had attacked Freud for some of his quackery." And she said, "Well, thank you so much, because I am a practicing psychiatrist, and I had never had the courage to sort of go after my professors when they were all hailing Freud during my training," or something to that effect. So here's a book on Freud. I've got actually several on him. I'll put this down here. There's many of these, so get ready. This is going to be a long one. Huxley, evolutionist. Adrian Desmond Huxley, From Devil's Disciple to Evolution's High Priest. An unbelievable book. All right. Thomas Kuhn, remember the philosopher, Kuhnian Revolution. How we go from one paradigm to another, paradigmatic shift. That's Thomas Kuhn, the philosopher. Great biography on him. I mean, I just can't believe the books that I have. Here's a guy named Albert Einstein. Boom. Oh, Abraham Maslow, right? The great humanist psychologist, right? You've all heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You go through 5 levels, starting from your most basic needs: food, water, shelter, sex. You go up the hierarchy all the way up to self-actualization. So he was a humanist psychologist because he had a view of how human ought to behave. So there you go. Oh, Konrad Lorenz, winner of the Nobel Prize with 2 other ethologists for their pioneering work in ethology. Ethology is the study of instinctual patterns, the evolution of instincts. So, for example, when you have imprinting in chicks, the chick comes out of the egg, and there is a ontogenic mechanism that says, first thing that I see moving, that must be mom. So if you remove the duck mother and then you put a golden retriever, then the chick will be imprinted on the golden retriever. Konrad Lorenz, unbelievable. Oh my goodness. Wittgenstein. If some of you want to read a fun book on the philosopher Wittgenstein, read Wittgenstein's Poker. Fantastic book, really fun. Ludwig von Wittgenstein. And I think Wittgenstein was at Cambridge, and my good friend Jordan Peterson was just in Cambridge. Maybe he's got some story to share from visiting some salon where Wittgenstein used to hang out or something like that. I just actually communicated with him today, with Jordan, that is, not Wittgenstein. He seems like he's in good spirits. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The man. Sorry, I know there's a glare. Galileo. Galileo. Mwah. Oh, my goodness. Unbelievable. Here we got a 2-time Nobel Prize winner, Linus Pauling. Boom. This is how you become knowledgeable. These are called books. You read them. I often look at my children. I say, you know how Daddy knows all of those things that he talks about everywhere? He spends his time reading. But then again, as I'm going through these and realizing that many of these I have not yet read, many I have, but others I haven't, I'm in a complete panic. Oh, this guy's unbelievable. Ramanujan. I don't know if you know about him. Ramanujan was a brilliant number theorist who had no formal education. Read his story. It's unbelievable. He starts sending some stuff. He's working on a little chalkboard, working out problems on his own as a young kid in India. He starts sending some stuff to famous professors at I can't remember if it's at Cambridge or Oxford. I think it was at Cambridge, and finally they give him a shot. He becomes a brilliant mathematician who died too young. Ramanujan, check him out, unbelievable. Here we've got, oh yes, sorry again you can't see it, E.O. Wilson, the evolutionary biologist and entomologist from Harvard, who's still alive. I'd love to have him on my show, although he's pretty old now, probably in his 90s. He wrote a fantastic book in the late 90s called Consilience, which has proven really important in my own work, because in my work where I try to argue that we need to introduce evolutionary psychology in studying human behavior, I argue that the reason why you need to do that is because it affords you greater consilience, unity of knowledge. So in both this book and certainly in chapter 7 of this book, the theme of consilience comes up over and over again. Oh my God. Arguably the smartest of all time. I mean, other than, of course, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, occasional cortex. Isaac Newton, Sir Isaac Newton. Check out this guy. Then here we've got, I'm giddy like a child. I can't believe I've got all these books. Got Louis Pasteur. Bam. I'm bringing you into my private salon, in my inner, sanctuary. Oh, Sir Francis Galton. Some people called him a racist and so on. He was in the era of Charles Darwin. He was an important biostatistician and so on. All right. And of course, he was related to the eugenics movement. This guy, I'm not so sure how I feel about him. He's a psychiatrist. I don't know too much about him, and he's certainly not in the same stature as the rest of the people here. R.D. Lang, or Lang, he was a psychiatrist. Then we've got Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the French philosopher. Oh yes, I've actually gone through this one. Here I Stand, Martin Luther. And as a matter of fact, in the Parasitic Mind, I quote the Here I Stand. The idea is that you show up with your personhood. Here I stand with my beliefs. True honey badger. Whether you agreed or disagreed with him, he certainly was a honey badger. Oh, another one. We got another Francis Galton. I think an older one. Here is Frank Sulloway's Freud, Biologist of the Human Mind. Frank Sulloway is a very interesting guy because he wrote a fantastic book called Born to Rebel, looking at the effect of birth order on radical scientific innovations. The argument being that later borns are the ones who drive scientific innovations, whereas the firstborns are the ones who try to protect the orthodoxy. And of course, as you might expect, I am a lastborn, therefore that's why I am a revolutionary thinker. Bam. Then we've got here, again, Bruno Bettelheim, a psychoanalyst. he was part of the time when I was, very interested in looking at all of the history of psychiatry and so on. I talk actually in my next book that, as I finished my undergrad and I was trying to think about what I wanted to go into as the next step of my career, one of the possibilities was to actually go into either clinical psychology or to psychiatry, in which case I would have gone to med school. I decided against it for reasons that I discuss in my next book, so make sure to get it. But I'm not done. I am not done. Stay with me. Here I've got Maimonides, the Jewish philosopher, physician to the Sultan, and of course Rambam, as he's known, the rabbi, the great rabbi, Rambam. Paul Feyerabend, the philosopher of science. Sorry, I don't know if you could see him. Another great guy. So we've got Kuhn, philosopher of science. We've got Feyerabend. We've got Wittgenstein. You want philosopher? I'll give you philosopher. I think, therefore I am. René Descartes. Boom. I mean, look at these books. Look at these books. Possibly my number one guy of all time. That's saying a lot because I've got a lot of intellectual heroes. Possibly number one. Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is? Go. Did you guess it? Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, that guy is OG. That guy, unbelievable artist, unbelievable futurist, unbelievable engineer, unbelievable scientist, the whole thing, the whole package, the true polymath, right? Interdisciplinarity is defined by this guy. Unbelievable. Imagine spending an afternoon with this guy. B.F. Skinner, of course, Skinnerian conditioning, operant conditioning, stimulus response models. What do we got here? What's this guy? Oh, this guy you may have heard of. Maybe you've heard of this little Charles Darwin guy. Oh my God, I can't believe all these books. I can't believe it. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle, physics. Look at this. I'm running out of room here. Oh, another physicist. And Einstein, part of the tribe. A lot of these guys part of the tribe. I'm just saying, here's another member of the Nobel Prize winning tribe members, Richard Feynman. What I loved about Richard Feynman, you should read his book, Surely You Must Be Joking, Mr. Feynman. Very cool, short book, written for the masses. I love his playful nature. He's a guy who's doing the tam-tam. He's walking in Rio Carnival. He's not the stuffy professor. I like that. You don't have to be stuffy to be a professor. We're multifaceted creatures. We can be fun. We can be irreverent. We can be buffoons. Buffoons in a positive, playful sense. That's why in the next book I have a chapter titled Life as a Playground. I hope you get a copy of the next book. It's a fun one. Oh, Francis Bacon. Oh yeah, old school. Boom. Almost done. Although again, this is just a small sample. Marie Curie, Nobel Prize winner, of course. I believe 2 Nobel prizes, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, and she won it. She won them before there was diversity, inclusion, and equity, the die religion. By the way, tomorrow I'm speaking to a friend who's a professor of chemistry at McGill, who there was an article just written about him in the National Post. Check out our chat. It'll be taped tomorrow. He got denied 2 grants. He's a person of color. He's from India, dark skin, who was denied 2 grants because his dye statement was not up to par. So who cares if he cures cancer? That's secondary. That's bullshit. How are you going to promote trans people of color who are indigenous? And how are you going to promote indigenous way of knowing? That's what matters. It's good. Very good for science. Oh, another tribe member, Baruch Spinoza, excommunicated by the rabbis in the Netherlands. OG right here. And then finally, and again, by the way, I've only shown you a small subset because I was kind of running out of room to put them all here. Now I'm going to have to spend 20 minutes putting them back on the shelf. Oh, Joseph Schumpeter, the economist, right? You've got all, the Schumpeter cycles. So all of these things, I mean, look at these books. Some are in philosophy, some are in religion, some are in economics, some are in physics, some are in chemistry, some are art, some are psychiatry, psychoanalysis. This list demonstrates to you what intellectual variety seeking is, which is another topic in my next book, which is to live a truly rich life. You have to sample from the buffet of life, whether it be literal buffet of food, but beware you can put on weight, whether it be intellectual buffet, right? Many academics are very, very much in the stay in your lane approach, right? They're very good at one thing, and then they spend the next 40 years doing plus epsilon research in one field. Whereas in my case, I've lived my life very differently. I try different things. I try to innovate, both within my academic career and also in my public engagement. I try to keep reinventing new trajectories to explore because I'm like a kid in a candy store. There are tons of things that excite me. So I think if you have that mindset, you ultimately will end up sucking more out of life, because part of life is to live as many rich experiences as you can. So there you have it. I hope that you've enjoyed this little tour of some of my books in my personal library. At least here I focused on biographies. Maybe in a future episode I'll share some other books, maybe the ones I have on evolutionary psychology or in other disciplines. I tell you, one thing that I know is that there is not enough time in our lives to consume all of the incredible knowledge that's out there. So get out there, read, have fun, and I'll talk to you soon. And if you enjoy what I just did, if you enjoy my content, please go to the description at the bottom of this clip, offer anything, a couple of bucks. It helps because it allows me to have some measure of insurance policy. There's all sorts of nefarious forces that, as you know, come after me because I'm outspoken and so on. So there are all sorts of ways that you could support me. If you'd like to support me concretely, please do so. Talk to you soon. Cheers, everybody.